I've been wearing and testing the Galaxy Watch Ultra for 3 weeks now, and in this review I'll share 7 things to know about this new Samsung smartwatch. Number 1, battery life. I've gone through 6 full battery life cycles, 2 with always on display enabled and 4 without, and this is what I can share so far. I mostly use default settings, including having heart rate be measured continuously and stress being set to manual measurement only. I did enable blood oxygen and skin temperature measurements during sleep, but I did not enable snore detection. I did have the Ages Index feature enabled, and if you're wondering what that is, I'll discuss it later in this video. I did not have LTE set up nor enabled, Wi-Fi was set to auto, and location was enabled. I should also note that the watch face you use can affect your battery life, and I used the MNML thin watch face throughout my testing period. Now for the results. Over all 6 battery cycles, sleep tracking with blood oxygen and skin temperature enabled and heart rate set to continuous used 1.14% per hour of sleep on average. My very first battery cycle started at 100% and ended at 10%, so 90% battery was consumed. I did not use the always on display during this battery cycle. I was able to track 4 nights of sleep, but I think it's important to note that this battery cycle started at 100% right before my first night of sleep and ended at 10% right after I woke up in the morning from my 4th night of sleep. I did 27 minutes of exercise and I did use GPS tracking for all 27 of those minutes. Not including off wrist time, my Galaxy Watch Ultra lasted for 80 hours on wrist. This amounted to about 1.11% of battery used per hour on wrist. Spoiler alert though that this first battery cycle was not typical. Case in point, my 3rd battery cycle was very similar usage. It started at 100% and ended at 12%, so 88% battery was consumed. I also did not use the always on display during this battery cycle. I was able to track 3 nights of sleep, I did 30 minutes of exercise, and I did not use any GPS tracking. Not including off wrist time, my Galaxy Watch Ultra lasted for 69 hours on wrist. This amounted to about 1.28% of battery used per hour on wrist. My 6th battery cycle started at 100% and ended at 15%, so 85% battery was consumed. I did not use the always on display during this battery cycle. I was able to track 3 nights of sleep, I did not exercise during this cycle, and thus I also did not use any GPS tracking. I had 0 hours of off wrist time, and my Galaxy Watch Ultra lasted for 68 hours. This amounted to about 1.24% of battery used per hour on wrist. To round out my non-always on display cycles, my 4th battery cycle started at 100% and ended at 12%, so 88% battery was consumed. I did not use the always on display. I was able to track 2 nights of sleep, but I have to note that I actually forgot to put my watch on one night before I fell asleep during this cycle, so I had one night that it was off wrist and I did not wear it to sleep. I did 6.5 hours of exercise during this battery cycle, and I did use GPS tracking for all 6.5 of those hours. Not including off wrist time, my Galaxy Watch Ultra lasted for 44 hours on wrist. This amounted to about 1.99% of battery used per hour on wrist. Now for my always on display enabled cycles. My 2nd battery cycle started at 100% and ended at 19%, so 81% battery was consumed. I did use the always on display during this battery cycle, and I was able to track 2 nights of sleep. I did 3.25 hours of exercise, of which 2.45 hours was using GPS. Not including off wrist time, my Galaxy Watch Ultra lasted for 43 hours on wrist. This amounted to about 1.85% of battery used per hour on wrist. And finally, my 5th battery cycle started at 100%, ended at 20%, so 80% battery was consumed. I did use the always on display during this battery cycle, and I was able to track 2 nights of sleep. I did 1 hour of exercise, all of which was using GPS. Not including off wrist time, my Galaxy Watch Ultra lasted for 51 hours on wrist, which amounted to about 1.55% of battery used per hour on wrist. So for my usage so far, I'm getting about 2 days and 2 nights with always on display enabled, and almost 2 to 3 days and 2 to 3 nights with no always on display, depending on how much I use GPS during workouts. Number 2, charging. The charging cable that comes with the Galaxy Watch Ultra is about 30 inches in length and is rated at 5 volts, 2 amps, or 10 watts. It has USB Type-C on one end, and the other end attaches magnetically to the back of the watch. No USB-C wall adapter is included in the box. The watch will give you a notification when the battery gets down to 15% and ask if you want to turn on power saving mode. It will give you another notification when the battery gets down to 5% and ask if you want to turn on watch only mode. I've gone through 6 full charging cycles, and this is what I can share about charging speed so far. I use the charging cable provided in the box, combined with a 20-watt USB-C power adapter. On average, I started charging my watch when it was down to 15% battery remaining, and on average, it took 1 hour and 33 minutes to charge fully to 100%. You should also know that the wireless power sharing feature is not compatible with the Galaxy Watch Ultra, so you cannot charge your watch with the back of your phone. However, you can use the included charging cable to charge your watch with your phone, but do note that it will take longer to charge this way compared to using a wall adapter. Number 3, GPS accuracy. The Galaxy Watch Ultra has a built-in dual-frequency GPS system, so it should have pretty good GPS accuracy. I've done 5 workouts with GPS tracks that I can share publicly, 2 walks and 3 bike rides. Starting with the walks, one walk was an out-and-back route that was a little over 3 miles on the San Francisco Bay Trail. The Galaxy Watch Ultra GPS track is in blue. You can see the paved path that I took on the satellite map, and the Galaxy Watch Ultra does a pretty good job of tracking my actual route. Besides a little wiggle at the very beginning of my walk, I'd say this was above average GPS accuracy. My second walk was another out and back route on a paved coastal trail that was a little over 7 miles total. Again, you can see the paved path I took on the satellite map. The light blue track was my first half, and the darker blue track was my second half. I was walking south on the first half and north on the second half, so it's great that the darker blue track is pretty much always on the right side, farther from the coast, as it should be given the side of the path I walked on. One thing I will note, however, is that the Galaxy Watch Ultra did mess up on my starting point. The lighter blue track should have started where the darker blue path ended. It might be the case that I didn't wait for GPS to fully lock on before starting my workout, but I will say that I also tracked this workout with my Apple Watch Ultra 2 and started its GPS tracking at nearly the same exact time, and the Apple Watch Ultra 2 did start tracking my route right away. Now for my bike rides. My first bike ride was a mostly out and back route that was a little over 20 miles on the San Francisco Bay Trail. As you can see, the blue track of the Galaxy Watch Ultra follows the paved path pretty well the entire time, and there are no wildly inaccurate points. It didn't mess up the starting point this time, and I'd say we're getting above average GPS tracking accuracy here with the Galaxy Watch Ultra. Another bike ride was another out and back route on a paved coastal trail that was about 15.5 miles. Again, the blue track of the Galaxy Watch Ultra follows the paved path pretty well the entire time, and there are no wildly inaccurate points. It did, however, mess up the starting point again, and again my Apple Watch Ultra 2 did start tracking correctly right away. Finally, my third bike ride was 20 miles out and back on a mountain bike trail that was almost entirely surrounded by redwood trees, the tallest trees in the world. Tall trees make GPS tracking more difficult, but as you can see here, the Galaxy Watch Ultra still managed to follow the trail pretty well. The lighter blue track was my first half, and the darker blue track was my second half. You can clearly see, however, that the Galaxy Watch Ultra did not correctly start tracking my second half until a while after I had started, even though it did correctly start tracking my first half at the actual starting location. Overall, I'm quite satisfied with the Galaxy Watch Ultra GPS accuracy when it is tracking. However, 3 out of the 5 routes shown here, it did delay tracking a portion of my route by a few minutes. I might need to give it more time to lock onto GPS before starting a workout, but it would be even better if the Galaxy Watch Ultra was quicker at locking onto GPS in the first place. Number 4, heart rate accuracy. I've worn the Galaxy Watch 7 during 12 different workouts so far. For each workout, I also wore a Polar H10 chest strap, a widely accepted gold standard for measuring exercise heart rate accurately. In each plot, the chest strap data is in red, and the Galaxy Watch 7 data is in blue. This is my first walk. As you can see, the overall shape of the Galaxy Watch Ultra matches pretty well with the chest strap. It may not be a perfect match, but it's definitely above average heart rate accuracy. Next is my first bike ride. There are a few brief sections where the Galaxy Watch Ultra is showing a significantly lower heart rate than the chest strap, but for the most part, it's keeping up with the chest strap quite well here. Another bike ride here, and there is some mismatch at the beginning, but the rest follows the ups and downs pretty well. Here is a mostly steady state indoor spin workout. Again, it's not a 100% match to the chest strap, but it's definitely above average heart rate accuracy for the Galaxy Watch Ultra. Here's another walk, and that looks quite good to my eye. I do see a trend of the Galaxy Watch Ultra sometimes not being quite as good at the beginning of a workout when my heart rate is closer to 100 to 120 beats per minute. But that's not as much of an issue to me personally, at least, as long as it is accurate during the more intense part of my workout, when I need to know if and when I should back off as I get closer to my maximum heart rate. Speaking of maximum heart rate, here is a 10-minute HIIT, or high intensity interval training workout that I did. This workout type is harder for wrist-based heart rate accuracy because I am moving my arms a lot through the entire workout. There are about 5 sections where the Galaxy Watch Ultra heart rate is reading noticeably higher than the chest strap, but I am honestly impressed that it followed the chest strap as well as it did. Another more difficult workout type for wrist-based heart rate is upper body strengthening because I'm holding weights in my hands and my wrist is flexing at different times throughout the workout. This 8-minute upper body strengthening workout looks a little worse than the HIIT workout, and that part toward the end where my heart rate goes below 90 beats per minute and the lines significantly differ is when I was doing chest presses on the floor. And here we have another different type of workout, a 10-minute yoga session. Normally, I personally wouldn't really care about heart rate tracking during a yoga session, but in case you're curious, this is what my data looks like. Here's a low-intensity casual bike ride, which looks pretty good to my eye, and another casual bike ride here. It again shows that trend of being a little off in the beginning, but otherwise pretty good, except that one brief moderate intensity portion that the Galaxy Watch Ultra didn't seem to catch. Here is a low-intensity walk that again shows the trend of being off in the beginning, but then is mostly well matched to the chest strap. And finally, a bike ride that looks nearly perfect to my eye. Overall, I'd say Samsung's claim that the Galaxy Watch Ultra's new heart rate sensor is more accurate than the previous heart rate sensor is an accurate claim. If you're wondering how the Galaxy Watch Ultra compares to other watches, consider subscribing as I will be doing more heart rate accuracy comparisons across wearables in future videos. Number 5, Ages Index. A new feature for the Galaxy Watch Ultra is the Ages Index, which stands for Advanced Glycation End Products. Samsung says this metric is an indicator of metabolic health and biological aging that is strongly influenced by overall lifestyle and dietary habits. This feature requires you to wear your Galaxy Watch Ultra while you sleep, and it will measure automatically using light sensors on the back of the watch. I've been using this feature with my Galaxy Watch 7 and Galaxy Watch Ultra for the past 27 days, and this is what my data looks like so far. The default view just shows the most recent value as a white dot along a range from low to high, where lower seems to be better. Initially, it was hard to tell if my value was changing, but now that I've got nearly a month's worth of data, you can see from this graph that my value has increased over time. I am pretty curious if I can influence this metric by changing the quality of my diet. If I decide to do that experiment, I'll be sure to post a video with my results. If that's something you'd be interested in, please let me know in the comments below, as that will definitely motivate me even more to actually do it. Number 6, Energy Score. Another new feature introduced with the Galaxy Watch Ultra is the Energy Score. Samsung says this metric is a daily measurement of your physical and mental readiness. It is based on 7 different factors involving your sleep, activity, and heart rate, and Samsung actually goes into really good detail showing how each factor affects your energy score. The basic idea is that there is a kind of Goldilocks zone of how much activity you should get each day. Frequently doing too little activity isn't healthy, but frequently doing too much intense activity might not be ideal either. This feature tries to help you decide each day whether to aim for more activity, less activity, or to carry on as usual. In case you're interested in seeing some real-world data, here's what my energy score has looked like over the past 27 days. Number 7, Sleep Apnea. Yet another new feature introduced with the Galaxy Watch Ultra is sleep apnea detection. This feature can detect signs of moderate to severe obstructive sleep apnea, but it cannot detect central sleep apnea. An important thing to note is that this feature requires the Samsung Health Monitor app, which is not natively available on non-Samsung phones. and this feature may not be available in all countries. I'm in the United States and it is available here. The sleep apnea feature has to be manually enabled in the Samsung Health Monitor app. You have to wear your watch to sleep for a minimum of 2 nights before getting a result. The Health Monitor app will indicate when you have successfully tracked a night of sleep with the feature enabled. After the second night, it could take up to 90 minutes after waking to get your result. As you can see here, my watch did not detect signs of moderate to severe sleep apnea during my first test period. But do also note that this feature is not perfect and it cannot detect all cases of moderate to severe sleep apnea. If you want to use the feature again, you'll have to manually enable it again and track another 2 nights of sleep to get an additional result. What other questions do you have about the Galaxy Watch Ultra, and what other things would you like me to test in the future? Let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, if this video helped you, could you please give it a thumbs up down below and consider subscribing if you want to see more Galaxy Watch videos. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.